Hello everybody, welcome to the Roundup, where we look back at all of the games that we've played in the previous month. And joining me for this month's episode, I have UKGN Teru.
Hello!
UKGN Pad could not make it this month, so thank you very much, Teru, for putting down Final Fantasy for long enough to have this little chat with us.
You better be grateful.
So we're going to go through the games that in February that we have played and give you our opinion of them. But as always, we're going to start off by talking about games that we played that came out either in January or even earlier than that we've only just got around to playing. So let's start off this month by talking about Speed Crew, which came out on the 31st of January, just as our last video was coming out. This is a game that I know we have all played. Basically, it takes the same co-op idea as Overcooked and applies it to the idea of a set of mechanics working for a motor racing team. What did you think of this one, Terry?
It was pretty impressive. I mean, it's not quite as good as Overcooked because the thing that holds it back is the fact that some of the levels are specifically designed for 4 people. And don't adapt to the fact that you might have less. However, it does do not only online co-op, but combines it with couch co-op as well, which is just a win for these type of games.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember Catastronauts was a really enjoyable game, but it didn't have any form of online on it, and that ruined our ability to play it in the way that we wanted. And I know this is a game that Pad has also played and also really enjoyed. He did actually express an opinion saying that it was better than Overcooked, which I'm not sure I agree with. I think Overcooked is still reigns supreme for these kind of games. But Speed Crew is definitely a very close run second.
Yeah, if you enjoyed Overcooked, you will definitely enjoy Speed Crew.
So let's move on to the first of February's games then. Released on the 1st of February. Surprise release out of nowhere was the Silent Hill The Short Message on PlayStation 5 from Konami. This is it was released as a free download. So obviously attempting to capitalize on the same sort of thing that PT did back in the day. And from what I've played, it's nowhere. People are not going to be talking about this one in 5 years' time. Put it that way.
No, I mean, from a visual point of view, it's absolutely amazing. I haven't completed it from a story point of view, and it does touch on very sensitive topics. So I'm not going to give an opinion on the story because I think it's something that needs to be experienced fully in order to give it a proper opinion on. But I stopped playing it because I got frustrated with a chase sequence, and after watching other Let's Plays on good old YouTube, I realised it's because I hadn't done something, and that just kind of indicates a bit of bad level design. So controller went down and not played it again.
So Konami are they're not having the best of luck with the Silent Hill series. I mean, it's luck of their own making, but they don't seem to be having a lot of luck with the Silent Hill series at the moment. So let's hope the Silent Hill 2 remake changes course on that one a little bit.
I'll have to wait to pass judgment on that one, but we can hope that it's a decent game. But Indeed. That's not out yet, so we will hold that discussion for a later date.
Indeed. So, 2nd of February saw the release of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, the latest game in the Arkhamverse from Rocksteady. And this one is a completely different kind of game to the three Batman ones. This is I think the best way to describe this one is, obviously it's a live service game and we'll get into that, but the best way to describe the gameplay is that it's like playing Crackdown, without any of the faff of having to go through the first 5 hours of gameplay to level your character up. So you're already maximum leveled at the start of this one. And I'd be lying if I said that I didn't enjoy it. The actual production values on the cutscenes is absolutely fantastic. If it didn't have any of the grindy live service crap, then it would be a much better game, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I always love hearing Tara Stronger's Harley Quinn performing. That's always amazing. And this is Kevin Conroy's last foray as Batman before his death last year.
There was one section fairly early on where you get attacked by Batman in after having gone into Gotham into a museum that recounts the story of the Arkham games, basically, and all four of the characters get stalked and hunted by Batman. But obviously the evil version of Batman, and you get to hear Kevin Conroy's voice a lot in that bit, and that bit was excellent. Ultimately, though, do not buy this game. It's definitely not worth the 60-70 quid asking price that they want for it. But if history shows us anything, in the same way that Gotham Knights did, this will either show up on Game Pass before too long, or only be a tenner to buy. And at that point, it'll be worth having a go.
Yeah, but to quote yourself, I believe that this is not the worst live service game that was released this month.
It's not. No, this is just strangely there is a worse game coming up. This is actually live service month, which is a bit of a that would normally have people running for the hills if you said that to them.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that later. Also released on the 2nd of February was a game called Persona 3 Reload. Now, I've not played this one. I know Pad's not played this one either, so we can just move on.
What? No! How dare you! Oh, just because you're trying to make up the fact that Pad's not here, and we all know exactly what he'd be saying about Persona, if only to annoy myself.
It would not be family friendly.
No, it would not. But Persona 3 Remastered, it's a kick to the nostalgia muscles, you know. It's absolutely amazing as far as an RPG goes. So for anyone who's never played a Persona game, it's a turn-based action game with the kind of, I guess, the rock, paper, scissors element of gameplay battling.
I'm not a fan of these kind of games. However, I can see when I watch you playing the Persona games how stylish everything is. So I do appreciate that side of things.
What I'm still trying to decide whether I like it or not is the fact that they've got elements from the Persona 5 battle system in this one, which wasn't there originally back when it was on PSP.
I think it was on PS2 first, Persona 3.
I only ever played it on PlayStation PSP. Which was, oh god, that was such a long time ago. Yeah, so that's where I know it from originally. I could keep gushing on about Persona 3 and how stylish it is. You'd have to be a massive fan of turn-based fighting systems in order to play it. But if you do, if you do like that, go for it. You won't be disappointed.
Next game came out on the 6th of February and went straight onto PlayStation Plus. I actually made sure that I renewed my PlayStation Plus subscription in order to play this one, so that way I wouldn't have to buy it. And this is Foamstars, released by Square Enix, but this is actually made by Toy Logic, the same people who made Happy Wars. So they're a developer who know a thing or two about how to make an enjoyable online game. And Foamstars is another live service game. This one is actually a arena combat game with two teams fighting against each other, and it kind of takes its basic idea from Splatoon, whereas Splatoon is all you're flinging paint around everywhere. On this one, it's all foam. So you're like squirting foam guns all over the place, and all the different weapons are foam related, and you can encase enemies in foam and then detonate that foam to kill them. An enjoyable concept. If Splatoon didn't exist, but Splatoon is 1,000 times better than this.
Yeah, did playing it just make you go, let me put the Switch on and play Splatoon?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It did. I mean, I'm glad I got it through PlayStation Network and didn't buy it, as what are we, 2 weeks later, and I've already forgotten about it and moved on. Next game came out on the 7th of February. HunterX Codename T came out on the Switch. Now this one did actually come out on Steam back in December, when I missed it back then. But this is it's a Metroidvania, side-scrolling 2D with 3D background. Nothing especially memorable about it to write home about. It's got a fairly nice manga style to the graphics, but that's about it really. I got bored of it fairly quickly, to be honest. Next we have Helldivers II, which came out on the 8th of February. This is another live service game, but this is also not the worst live service game of the month. This is actually by far the best one of the month. And the player numbers on Steam kind of are testament to that. I did play it originally on the PlayStation 5, but I found the controller and the setup of the buttons to be quite difficult to use. So I actually ended up buying it on Steam so that I could use an Xbox controller to play it, and found it much more enjoyable. Also playing it with mouse and keyboard worked out quite nicely as well. But this is heavily inspired by Starship Troopers. It's got a great sense of the epic as well in its audio, like particularly like the fanfares that kick off each match, and then when you're victorious at the end, and the other fanfare or the music that plays, it helps to like get you pumped before for each new match, and that's a vital part of it as well, I think. Released on the 14th of February was Tomb Raider 1 to 3 Remastered. The remakes of the first 3 Tomb Raider games that appeared on the PlayStation 1 way back in the day. This has been co-developed by Asper Interactive and Crystal Dynamics. And what I liked about this is the fact that it's got a good sense of old and new about it. So it has 2 different control methods that you can choose. It's got the original tank controls, and it's got a more modern control method, and you can flick between the 2 at your will. And in the same way as the Monkey Island remakes that came out a few years ago, you can also, at the touch of a button, switch between the old graphics and the new graphics just to compare them. And you can do that at any point. And what I actually found is that although the modern controls are there, which is nice, it's clear that all these levels were designed with the tank controls in mind. So the tank controls are actually better in many of the locations. And of the 3 games, Tomb Raider 2 is still the best. Released on the 15th of February, we have Undercover, which is a new VR shooter for the Meta Quest. Basically inspired by Time Crisis. It boldly claims that it is a return to the golden age of light gun shooters in the game's press, and I can certainly see that. Basically, you and a friend can work in co-op, fighting your way through levels, ducking down behind scenery to reload your weapon, and shooting enemies as they appear. It's very enjoyable. Some of the levels do go on a little bit too long, and the difficulty ramps up quite quickly, especially if you're playing it single player. So maybe co-op is the best way to go with this one. But it's also got some very nice cartoon style graphics to it, so it's all very clear. Never at any point can you not see where the enemies are popping up from.
Yeah, I mean, I've only had a very brief go at it, but it's very well made, and it's always the issue with any VR game. It's okay, how long can you be playing it for, and how comfortable is it to play? Does all the controls that you need to make sense, considering you're just going to be standing in one place or sitting in one place? But that is nothing to do with the game itself. The game, as you have mentioned, is quite well done.
It's also got an option on it to there's 2 different control methods, one which it classes as standing, one which it classes as seated. And basically, if you select the standing option, then you actually have to manually duck yourself while you're playing it to get down behind cover. So it's actually a bit of a workout. Whereas playing it from the seated position, you can duck down simply by pressing a button, making it more like playing Time Crisis on the PlayStation. What the game actually reminded me of was the Time Crisis Project Titan that came out on the PlayStation 1, which only existed because of how popular the original Time Crisis was when that was released. Basically, Namco were like, oh, people want more of this, so we're going to have to give them more. And Time Crisis Project Titan was more of the same, but the levels went on a little bit too long because it had been designed for a console and not for an arcade. So it was enjoyable, but it wasn't Time Crisis, if you know what I mean. So Undercover is exactly the same. It's enjoyable, but it's not Time Crisis. Released on the 16th of February on the Nintendo Switch was Mario vs. Donkey Kong, a remake of the old Game Boy Advance game from many moons ago, given a much needed polishing with modern Mario style graphics. Definitely aimed at the younger end of the market because it's not that difficult really. I don't think any part of it challenged me, but being a game with Mario and Donkey Kong in it, it's very charming, and you won't be able to help yourself smiling as you play it. But obviously, also because it's a puzzle game, not a game for you.
No, I don't like puzzle games unless I've got a guide right next to me.
That was released the same day as Skull and Bones from Ubisoft. How long has this one been in development for? 5-6 years now?
Yeah, that sounds right.
It's an epic, according to Ubisoft, quadruple A release, live service game that they're justifying charging £70 for by saying that it's a much higher quality than all of the games out there. Like I say, it was originally set for release at least 5 years ago. Problem for that being that Sea of Thieves came out 5 years ago, and Skull and Bones, rather than all of you working together as a crew on a single ship, you all basically get a ship each with a crew of AI to man it for you. So you sail around the Indian Ocean as a fleet of 3 ships if you're playing it with your friends. But because it's been in development for so long, it looks like a 5-year-old game. So from a visual standpoint, it is nowhere near the quality of even some of the more recent Ubisoft games, which use the same engine. So definitely not worth £70. I will say.
Yeah, just spend your money on Game Pass and play Sea of Thieves instead.
Well, what happened was I remember the day that I was sat at home playing this.
Yeah.
You texted me to say that you were incredibly bored at work. I was incredibly close to replying to that message saying it could be worse. You could be sat at home playing Skull and Bones.
Yeah. Just play Sea of Thieves instead.
Next, released on the 21st of February, and a game that we actually received a code for off the publisher, Geometry Survivor, which came out on, I think, most systems, Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC. It's only about £6 to buy. Basically, this is another auto shooter, following hot on the heels of Vampire Survivors. And as you can probably guess from the title and from what's happening on screen right about now as we're talking about it, it's also inspired by Geometry Wars.
It looks so good, and there are so many particles.
It's definitely not got the depth of Vampire Survivors. I mean, Vampire Survivors has got so many different combinations of weapons and characters and backstory and lore to read. This game has none of that. But it has got extra ships and power-ups that you can spend your hard-earned credits on between tries. There's 20 achievements, and it's 1 achievement for every minute that you can survive. Personally, I think that it would have been a lot better if it actually had some achievements tied to unlocking all different ships, all weapons, things like that, because that would have kept you playing for a lot longer. Because as it is, you can probably complete it on your 3rd or 4th go, and then certain people would never play it again after that, which is a shame.
Yeah, I mean, I just enjoy watching you play it, really, because it's just a case of all the pretty things that are on screen, and it just looks nice to look at.
It's definitely got that one more go addictiveness of you trying to work out what the best combination of weapons to use is in order to manage to survive for the 20-minute the 20-minute limit that the game gives you. So I've definitely enjoyed it, and like I say, it's only £6, so it's well worth the asking price.
Hi, Zoidberg here. We did actually record a chat session about Penny's Big Breakaway, which came out on February 21st on all systems. But when it came to actually editing the video, we found that section hadn't recorded properly, so I'm just here now to briefly let you know all about it. This is the new game, created by Christian Whitehead and his team, who were previously responsible for the excellent Sonic Mania. Penny's Big Breakaway, though, is a completely original creation, and being free of an existing IP has actually allowed the developers to make something that feels both fresh and exciting. The levels are perfectly designed to allow the players to use their speed and momentum to reach the end, but there's also a lot of freedom to experiment with the game's mechanics and explore, and that has added greatly to the game's overall replayability. I thought that it looks fantastic too, and it's got one of the best soundtracks in recent memory. All the tunes included here will really burrow their way into your subconscious while you're playing. For just £25, it's an easy recommendation, and for me, it's definitely better than the majority of the 3D Sonic games.
And then the final game from February, which came out on the 22nd of February, released on PlayStation and PC, is Pacific Drive from Kepler Interactive, and this is a post-apocalyptic survival game where you basically form a bond with your car, and between excursions out into the zone, as it's called, you have to repair and look after your car and upgrade it, and that side of the game I've really enjoyed. What disappointed me about the game is that I don't think it does a good enough job of explaining what you're supposed to be doing and how you do it, basically, because all I seem to do is go out into the zone, chop up a car or two, explore a house for some resources, and then escape and go back to the garage again. And it doesn't seem like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but the game doesn't tell me that. It doesn't tell me whether I am or not, and there seems to be very little progress. But it looks nice, and the car management side of it I am finding very enjoyable.
When I've been watching you play, it makes me think of Dredge, just with the item management side of things as well. And of course in Dredge you're looking after your ship and you have to repair it sometimes and, you know, upgrade it and things like that. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because there always seems to be a thing with games where a concept comes out which, you know, which comes out or for some reason a similar game comes out as well, like a month later, and it's because of the development time, it's almost impossible for one to have copied the other, yet they've got so many similarities between them.
Well, it's like Dredge is very similar in structure to Dave the Diver, but on Dave the Diver it's always kind of obvious what you're supposed to be doing next as well. And I've not actually played Dredge, so I don't know what it's like in that one. But like I say, Pacific Drive I feel needs a little bit more guidance for the player. It's got a lot of accessibility options, I'll give it that. There's you can make the game as easy or as hard as you want to with a number of sliders in the menu, so that's a definite plus. and at the end of the day, the game is only 20 quid, so it's well for that asking price. I think it's well worth a look. So that's all the games that we played in February. What would be your game of the month, Terry?
Ooh, it's very difficult. I think I'd probably go for Speed Crew, even though that's technically last month. But we talked about it on this episode, so yeah, Speed Crew definitely.
For me, it would be Helldivers 2. Definitely one that I would recommend everybody who likes shooting bugs in the face.
And who doesn't like shooting bugs in the face?
So that's it. Thank you for watching this video. We're going to be back at the end of March with a look back at what games we've played in that month. If you agree or disagree with any of the opinion expressed in this video, please let us know in the comments what your favourite game of February was. And I'll let you get back to playing Final Fantasy, Terry. So thank you for joining me, and thank you everybody for watching. I'll see you all next time.
Da, 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 da.